Good evening, everyone. It doesn't really feel like evening now, does it? I mean, summer's here, the days are getting longer. It's still bright. I don't know. It's been a couple of months of that, and it still feels kind of weird. Um, Welcome to the second Crimson News Network, talking about anime news and stuff like that, because I had to separate it from the other live show I do on the weekend. So I figured, I mean, I talked about all that last week, so there's really no point in sorry, some things are going really, really slowly for whatever reason. Just leave it like that, okay? It's working. Just leave it like that. It's what I get for using my laptop for the administrator side to do all the stupid stuff. Anyway, hello Josiah. Nice to see you. Thank you for showing up. So today basically what there is I mean, we're going to do the same thing we did last week. Start by talking about some of the new announcements that have come out, things that have happened since I did the show last week, talk about some new things, and then go into like proper articles and stuff. And the two big ones to talk about this week are effectively, um, well, I put them in the title. So there's an article that came out that we're gonna read through, talking about Toyotaro's decision to walk away from Dragon Ball Super, and we'll go over the article and then go over what that potentially means, because I mean, just because the lead mangaka gets uh pissy and walks away, there's some stuff there involving uh why am I blanking on his name? The creator of Dragon, how am I blanking on the creator of Dragon Ball's name right now? Either way, after his death, there has been a bit of a falling out between Toyotaro and uh the owner of the IP, technically, in what direction they're going to pursue with the Dragon Ball franchise, and I assume that this has something to do with it. The other thing is we have a bit of like market research from Crunchyroll talking about what people want to see in anime, and we have a little bit to discuss on that front in regards to, apparently Crunchyroll found that American fans demand stronger female characters in anime. Which, where have you been for the past I don't know how many years, especially with two of the most um, talked about anime being led by female characters in the form of the Apothecary Diaries and Frieren. But that's neither here nor there, apparently, because Crunchyroll seems to think that everyone else is. Whatever. It's whatever. So that and more tonight. Let's get into it. So the first big thing to talk about. Oh, I should. Why does this always pop up? I should remove that. First big thing to talk about tonight. Um, is Isekai Quartet getting a season 3? And now this series has been pretty popular for doing the whole crossover and putting a bunch of random isekai characters together from different franchises just to see how they would interact. It's basically like the what if these two characters met sort of show, and it does the comedy up a ton. And now, I mean, season 2, they brought in Naofumi Iwatani and a few of his friends from Shield Hero. Season 3, I don't know if you've seen by the poster, but they've made a great pick in the form of Sid Kageno to add to the cast. And if you're unfamiliar, Sid's from The Eminence in Shadow, a good isekai series. Not, I should stop fidgeting with things because I'm making noise and I'm making myself seem unprofessional, because I am totally professional and amazing at this job and I do everything perfectly. So yeah, Sid Kagano is a really good pick if your whole goal in all of this is to effectively go for shenanigans. If you want to do comedy, he's a great one, because just about any scenario here, he's gonna be the butt. He's gonna be, I don't know, part of any comedy routine that's gonna be a thing. Subaru is probably the only one who will look at him somewhat normally and not respond. Everyone else here, I feel like, would just be like either fed up or feed into Shadow's whole persona. And also, hello, Marcel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So this was we kind of went over this at the beginning of the week on the Biggles breakdown, but nonetheless, it is big news, and the Crimson News Network does cover it. So this is something to look forward to. A lot of people have been talking about this and the Isekai Quartet movie and all that kind of stuff. Don't take it too. Don't expect it like a super serious story or anything out of it, but it definitely will be an interesting thing. Hello, Jeremy Turner. Even if you're lurking, we still appreciate you. Crimson News Network appreciates all patrons. So Isekai Quartet Season 3 is coming. How soon? I'm unsure. I haven't seen any dates, but this is typical of these initial announcements. And Tanya will probably like his atomic. There are still some that I do desperately need to brush up on when it comes to isekais. So we'll get there eventually. But with that said, we'll move on to another announcement. Did anyone finish this? Did anyone else finish this anime? I gotta hold on. Let me just make sure that in the rest of these, everything is closed out. Okay, there we go. Stop showing my DMs on stream. Okay. Did anyone else finish Ninja Kamui? I shouldn't say anyone else. Did anyone in chat here actually watch Ninja Kamui all the way through? Because I watched the first 3 episodes and dropped it. And from what I've heard, not a lot of people were huge fans of this series. I don't think I've met many people who were actually like super into it. Like everyone really liked the first 3 episodes or so. And then everyone started complaining about how it basically does a heel turn and becomes something completely different. I won't judge the whole thing because I kind of just got bored of it after the first 3 episodes. Interesting. I can see that because basically the big complaint I saw was a lot of people talking about the CGI at the end for the robot suits, talking about how the animation took a huge downgrade. But it's not something I plan to watch. My bad. I punched the mic like I always do. Really the point that I kind of like stopped caring about it was you had like the short gay dude who was constantly talking about like fucking people. And at that point I was just like this is I don't know. Like this is a little too much even for me, and I can tolerate a lot of shit. Not effective at the point where I dropped it. Was that episode right there? If that's your thing, fine. I mean, I have seen a few people say that this was a good show, but I haven't seen many people talk about it positively. Beginning was cool. It was interesting. And then I utterly lost interest after that. So that is where we are at with this. I won't judge it any further since I've only really watched 3 episodes and got bored. This one though, I absolutely will judge because I've got to. I fucking hate this movie. We will close out some tabs here. 5 centimeters per second live action film announced in Japanese theaters on October 10th, 2025. So, if you know nothing about me, um, I am actually a huge fan of Makoto Shinkai's films. I have a lot of them up on my shelves because I like Suzume, I like Weathering with You, I like Your Name. The Place We Promised in Our Younger Days is another good one. Um, there are a bunch of other things. 5 centimeters per second, I do not like. It is the singular Makoto Shinkai film I cannot stand. And the premise of this whole thing is effectively this dude regrets not ever confessing to his childhood friend, and the whole show is just him moping about how about that regret. And then at the very end, he crosses paths with her, and she's engaged to someone else. That is the entirety of 5 centimeters per second, and it is done in three segments. Basically, segment one is I moved away, but we're still in contact. Segment two is I've moved again, and there's this girl who has a crush on me, but I'm still fixated on this girl I don't even talk to anymore. Yeah, that's right. They basically fall out of contact. And then section three is I've tried to have girlfriends since then, but I just can't get over this girl I haven't talked to. And oh, wait, she's engaged. That sounds terrible. I honestly, I thought it was. Like, I thought it sucked. I think currently it's one of my lowest rated things on my anime list right now. I wouldn't recommend it. I personally do not recommend this movie. If you're gonna pick up a Makoto Shinkai film, there are much better ones. Like every one of his other films ends in a pretty good way. Like Weathering with You. I mean, I won't spoil too much about it, but it has a fairly happy ending. Your Name, a lot of people will say like it's probably not enough, but they do kind of trend towards a positive side. Um, Suzume or Suzume. Yeah, it's Suzume. For some reason, I keep forgetting that there's an M, not an N. Suzume ends fairly positively. It's a bit tragic and all that, but it does end fairly positively. The Place We Promised in Our Younger Days ends pretty well. All of these have good endings, and then of course you have this one. Nothing will ever go lower than Bakano for me. I have no idea what Bakano is, but this is true. It does feel like a very Japanese thing. I'll give you that. Um it was funny to read the comments making fun of V for coping about Rent a Girlfriend. Because it's autocorrect, Marcel. It's autocorrect. But yes. Hello to everyone. Rolando A. Ramirez. I can't roll my R's very well because I'm a hillbilly. Muffler Tape. How are you doing? JM the Elite Fan. What's up? Glad to have you all here. So yeah, I'm not happy that this is getting a thing, but apparently it's decently popular. It must be some sort of cultural thing. Um I mean, given the saying that like first loves are doomed or whatever, I feel like that's probably the whole point of it. But like, I didn't like this movie. I do not like that kind of ending to like a romance esque sort of thing. I bet. So yeah, I'm not gonna bother with the trailer because it's not even like I'm recommending this movie, but eh, eh. We'll move on to talking about some other announcements and stuff, and then we will get into the real meat of the show tonight. So let's go with a with a light novel, with a written series announcement this time. Dungeon and Girls Band, quite the creative title. Volume number 1 by Grandpa and Grandma turning young again author Kagiri Araido. A musical comedy about a high school girl who forms a rock band and performs in a concert hall connected to a dungeon with otherworldly inhabitants. So who's gonna main Shallot? Is this a reference to Devil Artemis? Or are we talking about something else? Because the only time I've ever heard Shallot mentioned is when my brother was talking about that Dragon Ball mobile game that he's from, or when he comes up in Devil Artemis videos. Either way, the only reason I bring this one up is because it's by the creator of a series I did kind of like. Grandpa and Grandma Turning Young Again was a good show. He's a new character in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. The whole girls band thing has been another growing trend, much like the exiled from my party trope. This one has been one that's been gaining a lot of steam. It was like Bochi the Rock, and then girls band Cry, and now Rock is a Lady's Modesty. This is one of the new trends in manga and anime. I can't say I'm like a huge fan of the art style just yet. Like some of the character designs look good. Like this guy, this chick, and our main character here genuinely do look good, but like Dwarf San back here, not really feeling that. You heard it here first. CNN now bringing you the breaking news. Rolando A. Ramirez likes boy bands. So yeah, it's like I don't expect this one to be super amazing, but I'll at least like look at it once and see if there's anything good about it because I do like the creator's works previously. Let's move on to the most ridiculous announcement of the night. Google Play gets its own anime. Reincarnated into Google Play World, a new series of anime shorts made by Wit Studio. And for Google Play Store.
Google Play.
I know what you are, Rolando. This though, why? Who thought this would be a good idea? Why is it being made? And this does kind of tie into a little bit of the corporate stuff we'll talk about in a little bit here, but this is like effectively corporations looking at anime and seeing that it's popular and being like, oh, well, maybe we should get in on this trend and try and use this for marketing. And this is another sign that you're hitting critical mass when it comes to popularity. It's basically a side. Once corporate interests get involved, things never seem to go well. Like, look what happened to like comic books and superhero movies. They haven't exactly been at their been in their A game since corporate interests have been involved. The corporations only really see the normie side of things. They're not particularly good for actual native fans. They're just as much tourists as everyone else. But in this case, they would actually be better to describe them as grifting tourists because they don't actually care about the anime. They just know that the aesthetic works for people, so they're going to use that to market their shitty fucking Play Store. They're short, so it's not like it's a full on anime or whatever, which I guess is like to me not as bad. But in this case, it's like, why would you even bother? It just seems silly. Silly at its best, okay? But with that said, there is one more announcement sort of thing that I do want to cover. Because this one, if true, could be really cool. Studio Trigger wants to animate an adult only Magical Girl series with no censorship. At first you had my interest, now you have my erection. Okay. In all seriousness, I think this would be pretty cool. I've only seen snippets and pieces of Cyberpunk. Honestly, I never cared to like really go and watch it. Um, but I do respect their animation games. Their animation game. Like I genuinely think they're good at what they do. So it would be cool. Um, I mean, Gushing Over Magical Girls was one of the more popular anime of the last year. That's I don't know. When did that come out? Early last year? I believe so. And I believe that it had a record high number of Blu-ray sales, Gushing Over Magical Girls. Something like 10,000 on like the first day or the first week. It was pretty crazy how much Gushing Over Magical Girls actually sold. Now, when they say adult only Magical Girl series, there are a couple of interpretations. The Rolando interpretation here, will they be adults? That would be interesting in and of itself. But my interpretation of this was probably a series that had more gore, and NSFW content to it, rather than just like you have adult characters. I really need more information, but this is like what I found effectively. Um, yeah, so you have people so poor. I'm cautiously optimistic. Modern anime has disappointed me so much lately. Not here for the anime, but I can't wait to see people seethe from this news. It's going to be absolute cinema. As long as they put whoever came up with the best part of Kill La Kill in charge, I'm ready. Do it. That sounds awesome. I say go for it. Let them cook. Base 100%. Oh, I'll watch it. Yeah, and given like I don't know, I have a problem with when people start saying, "Oh, I want to do an adult version of this," or "I want to do an adult version of that," or "I want to make it adults only." Um, Generally, what that means, like what my impression of that statement is that you're going to make something crass and juvenile and pass it off as adult because you say the fuck word 15 times an episode. That's not adult. That's retarded. Adult is something like Vinland Saga or Berserk, okay? That is adult. Not Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is not an adult cartoon. Fuck off. That shit's for like retarded teenagers who want to get high and pretend like they're more mature than they are. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Fuck Rick and Morty. It's not good past the second season. That's my big issue that I have with the let's take childhood thing and make it adult is fucking awful cartoon writing. You get just the most ridiculous, over the top profanity, gore, and sexuality. Like, if you're going to do, if you want to do an adult show, do something more akin to Sword of the Demon Hunter, where it's actually written for mature people and treats you like you're smart enough to actually follow what's going on. So yeah, like Marcel, oh please, not that kind of adult. Yeah. Um, insofar as this goes, I mean, ecchi anime has been around for quite some time. I mean, I've been literally covering some stuff that has been like that. Gushing Over Magical Girls again was a very popular series, and I mean, there were uncensored versions of that. Please Put Them On, Miss Takamine has actually been better than I expected, and that's a high school ecchi. It really depends on how you're going to define all those terms, and like you can genuinely be uncomfortable with that. I won't blame you. I think that is a fair position to have, to be uncomfortable with certain things. And it's just one of those things where like that's a deep uh discussion to get into a little bit of the logic and the mindset behind some of those things. But effectively it boils down to uh well, actually, we'll save that. Yeah. The second season of Castlevania Nocturne come out. This one chick I watched said she liked it because it's so anime. I never watched the Castlevania stuff, and I have not watched Nocturne, particularly not Nocturne. I have not heard good things about Nocturne either. And I don't really know if I would consider that anime. But let's move on into one of the big topics for the night. And this is one I was talking about a little bit earlier with like the corporate interests and stuff. Let's bring this up. I'm into 30-year-old hags right now because of generic Kowloon generic romance. Yeah. I respect it, boy. I respect it. I mean, you can't go wrong with older women because at least no one's ever going to accuse you of being something you I think the second season was a bit better than first, but still ass compared to the original. Hags, he says. Anyway, so this is one of the big things I was talking about earlier when I started mentioning corporate interests getting involved in anime. This was the topic that I was referring to when I said it does tie in with some of the things that we'll be covering tonight. Hollywood views anime as a cheap alternative. Hollywood's view of anime as a cheap alternative pisses me off, says Japanese producer Mie Onishi. Noritaka Kawaguchi, the founder, CEO, and chairman of Mixwave Films, and Mei Onoshi, advisor to the company's overseas business department, shared their frustration over the rising number of requests from Hollywood to produce anime, motivated by Hollywood purportedly seeing it as a cheaper means of production compared to live action. As Onishi and Kawaguchi spoke about recently announced live action adaptations of anime IPs, such as One Punch Man, Naruto, and CFW's Your Name, they shared the following exchange. Which, by the way, none of these should get live actions because fuck that. Naruto live action, I've kind of covered it, and we may end up talking a little bit about that like tonight. I should have had the post up at some point, but I mean there was no real articles to back it. So either way, talked about Naruto and the writers behind that does not sound good. One Punch Man, I don't trust it. And Your Name, just leave the movie well enough alone. So here we go. Onishi. Also, there are anime adaptations of Star Wars, Scott Pilgrim, and Lord of the Rings. Kawaguchi. There are a little too many works to check out. I have to watch Japanese anime and I also have to read Jump. Onishi, that's right. That's why it's not good to animate everything. Anime is just one method, not a genre. In fact, what I hate these days is that when I talk to people in Hollywood, they ask me, "Can't you make this an anime?" What lies behind this is something like it's cheap if it's an anime, which really pisses me off. It pisses me off. Imitating people in Hollywood, it would cost 20 billion yen to make a live action movie. So can't you make it an anime? Please tell them I said it's 30 billion yen for an anime. I love that response. Okay, I'll let them know. Hollywood creators also like Mamoru Oshii and Makoto Shinkai. So there are a lot of people who want to try making movies in the Japanese anime style once. The rest of the discussion, which includes thoughts from CFW's overseas business department chief, Aoi Ishimaru, explores CFW's success and further efforts to improve its accessibility overseas, the struggles of Japan's live action industry, Onishi's desire to turn the stop motion animated short film Hidari into a feature length film, and changes within Hollywood, domestically and in terms of international reach. So we'll specifically focus on this element for a little bit, and talk about some comments here. So, fuck you, Hollywood. You had a good thing going, but you had to be a bunch of weak-minded libtards. And some of those American anime stuff is shit because the writers have no basic skills in writing. And play the ad. I don't. Oh, okay, that. I see. Well, this is a face I haven't seen in a while. How are you doing, Gorilla Mar? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, effectively in this situation, um, what we can gather is effectively Hollywood is seeing that the anime aesthetic is popular and they want to use it. And they think that it's going to be cheaper and more people will like it, so that's better for them. It's not exactly the case because a lot of these live action anime adaptations that we've been getting generally kind of suck. And the only one that's defied that so far, from what I've seen, is the One Piece adaptation, and that is all because Eiichiro Oda was involved in it. I've been pretty good myself. Glad to hear that you're doing well. For anyone who doesn't know, Gorilla Mar has his own small channel where he talks about like indie comics and stuff. The last I remember, he reviews and covers the stuff that he actually buys and reads. So that's cool. It's something I used to do around here. It's just one of those like harder, more niche things where, yeah. I also didn't. I also kind of don't have the money to buy a bunch of indie comics to cover at this point. This is pretty much the big thing is Hollywood has a lot of problems and they're basically just trying to medicate some of this stuff. Um Like they don't want to go with the actual solutions to their problem, and they want to turn to anime to do it. I do not like the idea of taking anime and turning them into live actions because manga and anime are much more dramatically expressive than a lot of what comes out of the West. There are certain things, like particularly with like Naruto and One Punch Man, the silliness to them, I don't think is going to the whimsical elements of it, the comedy. I don't think it's going to translate very well if you do those in live action. I told myself I was going to stop fidgeting, and I didn't. Keep reaching for this thing. Put it down, Crimson, put it down. I am a meat popsicle. Ah. I don't like the trend of like trying to push these live actions because the animes are generally pretty good. Especially once you start hijacking popular properties like Naruto, and you get people who don't know how to write to take care of those. I didn't. I think I heard about the Your Name thing, but either way, again, when I said corporate investment in your sector generally means that things are going to go south because you have a bunch of people who are now going to start buying up properties and abusing them for just to milk money off of normies and make it super normie friendly and ruin everything that was fun about it. Yeah, that's effectively what's going to happen to a lot of these things here. Which is gonna suck. I do hear good things about the Rurouni Kenshin live action. But there's this weird like overlap between like manga and anime readers to where they're more niche and less the people who tend to work in them have a good degree of understanding of what they're working with and are able to adapt them better than live action in most cases. That's not to say that some live action adaptations aren't headed up by people who actually like the series and do a good job of it. It's just that more often than not, the people who work with anime are more familiar and more friendly to the source material. Uh, but we do have more from this sort of discussion to cover now. There's another article. Not necessarily have you seen the Attack on Titan live action. I've seen bits and pieces of the Attack on Titan live action, and I didn't think that it looked good. Anyway, we'll move on into the same guys talking about Crunchyroll now. So we'll close that out. Crunchyroll is doing its best, but Suzume Studio founder hopes Toho provides healthy anime competition in America. Noritaka Kawaguchi, the founder of Comics Wave Films, was recently interviewed after Toho acquired 6% of the company in October 2024. This is actually true. I don't know if it's an adaptation so much it takes heavy inspiration from it, but in this is actually another case where, given what I've seen of the series, the live action American version looks like a more faithful adaptation than the anime that's coming out for that series. Like the American version actually gets the power armor better. Better, which is interesting. The power armor in the Japanese version does not look good. Okay, so was recently interviewed after Toho acquired 6% of the company in October 2024. He told Japanese media outlet Toyo Keizai in May about the background of Toho's shared acquisition. What has transpired since? and expectations for Toho, including healthy competition with anime streamer Crunchyroll in North America. When asked what role he expects Toho to play in the future, Kawaguchi replies Crunchyroll is doing its best, but Japanese anime still hasn't fully reached America. Toho has acquired G Kids and also owns Toho International. I want them to continue working hard on distributing in North America and, by becoming another major force, engaging in healthy competition. I mean, if you're around here, you probably do believe the same as me that competition in the market is generally healthy. I won't speak to the problems that will come of other things, particularly when you start doing like water service and electrical service. And I know some people make arguments for that, but hey. Other parts of the interview included what Kawaguchi believes Toho's strengths are, the support that Toho gives to Makoto Shinkai's films, and the new theater CFW plans to open in 2026. Kawaguchi also shared the story behind how Toho came to buy shares, revealing that he went to Toho's Hibiya headquarters directly to offer them. I turned 55 last year, just after the end of Suzume. I felt a sense of crisis that if I didn't hand over the presidency soon, the business succession would fail. And I had been looking for a candidate for over 10 years and a talented person, current president Tomohiro Tokunaga, joined the company 5 years ago and matured. So I handed over the presidency last year. On top of that, I felt the need to have various people support Team Shinkai from outside. Originally, Animate had invested about 5% and supported us. So I thought it would be nice if there were a few more companies like that. The best balance would be a minor investment from Toho. I was acquainted with both Yoshishige Shimatani, former president and current chairman, and Hiroyasu Matsuoka, president of Toho. Around June 2024, I went directly to Toho's Hibiya headquarters and told President Matsuoka my intention to sell my shares, and he immediately said, "Yes, please." This section is an aside from Katakawa's CEO, who recently shared his own story in March. Uh, okay. Cooperation and competition have long spurred the growth of Toho and Crunchyroll, which is under the Sony group. Both have played important roles in each other's current anime success. In December 2023, Toho CEO Hiroyasu Matsuoka told Forbes that several American streamers came to acquire My Hero Academia, outbidding each other and leaving him in disbelief at the offers. Are we being tricked? He recounted thinking, adding that the success of anime movies at the box office is an extension of this trend. He also noted the effect of American distributors in reducing piracy. Sony's Funimation now merged into Crunchyroll, unfortunately. Which, until then, had actually struggled for a few years, admitted Matsuoka to VIPO a couple of months later, helping turn around the destiny of Toho Animation. Sorry, I skipped that part. And we started to focus on expanding overseas. Several years on, after securing lucrative licensing revenues from titles like Spy Family, Jujutsu Kaisen, Apothecary Diaries, Not Kaiju Number 8, and Haikyuu, and more, and more. And after years of Crunchyroll benefiting through exclusive first run rights to stream most of Toho's anime in North America, Toho now seems to be eyeing a more broad approach with streaming distribution. Toho chief of anime Keiji Ota said just in May, content won't spread and will only be seen by those subscribers if it's monopolized by one platform. Competing with Crunchyroll on the distribution front, Toho has also acquired G Kids, one of North America's biggest anime distributors. And this is one of the big things. Like the only competition Crunchyroll really has in this market is Uh, High Dive. Why did I blank on that? The only major competition it has is High Dive. Other streaming platforms do host anime, but a lot of people do go to Crunchyroll still for the anime stuff exclusively. The thing is, though, it's still pretty niche as compared to live action stuff. So, yeah. While the Toho Group has largely stayed out of North America movie releases of TV anime titles, it's recently taken over North American distribution for two of the biggest IPs of the recent times. My Hero Academia, You're Next via Toho International, after Crunchyroll had distributed the prior three films, and the upcoming Jujutsu Kaisen Hidden Inventory Premature Death, the movie, via G Kids, after Crunchyroll and Funimation had Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. Nevertheless, recent films released for Toho Animation's Kaiju Number 8 and Haikyuu were handled by Crunchyroll in North America and beyond. The little publicly known about Crunchyroll's view on. I apologize, there is a dog going ape shit. I don't know what's going on. Someone rang the doorbell. He's freaking the fuck out. The little publicly known about Crunchyroll's view on Toho's expansion might have seeped through after Crunchyroll reportedly decided to hold back on promoting the Dandadan anime. Yes, this is one of the big things, is because Crunchyroll didn't have exclusive rights, they did not go on to promote Dandadan. They kind of just buried it because it was also airing on Netflix, which is a fucking stupid thing to do. Because this probably would have way outshone Solo Leveling, because I'm gonna say it here. I think Dandadan season 1 has better animation than Solo Leveling season 2. Fight me. Yeah, pretty much. He's a friendly boy. I think the difference here is that Sony and Crunchyroll actually had an active investment in uh Solo Leveling. So that may explain part of the reason why they didn't want to promote Dandadan. And this is, of course, speculation. But the fact is, they did not do very well at promoting it. And Toho was kind of upset, even though, like, I guarantee you, Dandadan is better in every way than Solo Leveling. I said it, Dandadan is better in every way than Solo Leveling. Around its October premiere, an email acquired by Bloomberg cited ongoing acquisition discussions as Crunchyroll's premiere. Crunchyroll's motivation. Toho had just announced G Kids acquisition that same month. G Kids had previously secured Dandadan's North America rights for theatrical video and digital download, the first time it had done so for a first run anime after years of building up its reputation in the industry. That acquisition was only a few months after Toho announced plans to acquire Dandadan's anime studio. As a whole series, I don't know. I think I would probably pick Dandadan over Demon Slayer. But I would pick Demon Slayer over Solo Leveling. It's a unique take. Dandadan is superior in its animation, but the fights in SL were genuinely bar setting. Look, they're flashy and cool, sure, but the total combined uh elements of Dandadan, I would still pick Dandadan over Solo Leveling any day. There we go. And the investors in the anime production committee. Science Star, Netflix, and Hulu, US only, would also stream the anime alongside Crunchyroll. It's not only Toho that Crunchyroll has to be wary of. Naturally, there are other major streamers, plus licensors like Viz and Remo, seeking to level the playing field, both of which have strong Japanese connections. Viz has direct links with some of Japanese biggest IPs through ownership under Shueisha, Shogakukan, and Shogakukan Shueisha Productions, and counts among its major licenses Bleach, One Punch Man, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Ranma and a half, and more. I believe if we're talking Shogakukan, Frieren. All except Sailor Moon are entirely unavailable on Crunchyroll in North America and pull massive viewers to this day. And there's a lot in here. And I guess this is just going to go on to continue talking about the competition. Uh, Sony's current management is placing importance on the number of people their business can reach. I think that they're hoping for the spread of anime related business, and therefore deliberately not closing the value chain. Netflix obviously has a large platform. Okay, this is just kind of, yeah, the rest of this is really just going into detail about their competition and all that. Again, I disagree with this. I would still pick Don the Don, but animation wise, if we want to talk about what is absolutely the like best animation, uh UFO Table does a killer fucking job. There's no doubt about that. A1 did a really good job with Solo Level. Um so let's break it down like this. I think Don the Don has better animation than Solo Leveling, especially because Don the Don doesn't in the major fights for Solo Leveling, there were a lot of like light trails that they used to sort of reduce the number of moving parts that were going on with those scenes. Don does not do that as much. All three of them are good, but Solo Leveling has the worst story out of the three of them. Um, Demon Slayer story is really good. I do see a lot of people talk about about the story of Demon Slayer. I don't think the ending is as bad as people give it credit. People crapped on it for. Even if it was rushed, it still felt like a good ending. If you ask me, I genuinely enjoyed it. With Dandadan, the series is still running. And having read the manga, it's fucking good. But that's a topic for another time. It would, I don't know. Those are like the what I've seen of all three of them are spread out to really do like a fine, like nitpick sort of critique of all of that. I would really have to go back and sit down and watch them all together and have it fresh in my mind. But as of right now, which one I like most? Don Don. Easy. All right. We'll move on from talking about Crunchyroll's competition. That article was only about halfway through, and from what I've thumbed through here, we basically get a bunch of stuff about a lot of people are looking to compete with Crunchyroll and how they're planning to compete with Crunchyroll. Which, I mean, if I wanted to dedicate an entire stream to that, fine, but there is a ton of information here. If you're truly desperately interested to read this whole thing and understand what's going on here, well, let's see here. We can do this. If you really want to read that whole article. If I did a comparison of the three, it'd probably blow up in the community. Perhaps. The issue is I got a lot of I still got a lot of stuff I want to do, but talk about the next thing on the list. So I mentioned this a little bit. There is a conflict um between Toyotaro and the current owners of the Dragon Ball IP after um Toriyama. Toriyama, that's the name. I don't know why I blanked on Toriyama earlier. Akira Toriyama. After Akira Toriyama's death, Toyotaru found himself at odds as to what to do with the IP moving forward. He was at odds with the current owner. So this is an interesting development. So the Dragon Ball franchise, created by the legendary Akira Toriyama, is the cornerstone of Shonen Jump manga, or of Shonen manga, with several generations being inspired by it. The franchise's latest manga iteration is Dragon Ball Super, which picks up about 4 years after the events of Dragon Ball Z. While the manga has entertained the audience with its arcs, it now faces an uncertain future. Several reports suggest that Toyotaro, Dragon Ball Super's lead artist and co-creator, is planning to depart from the manga. Fans have been reeling since the manga went on indefinite hiatus. This was shortly after Toriyama's death, and we then kind of covered how it was a bit of the feud going on that caused it. A recent update has confirmed that he will be talking to Kazuhiko Torishima about leaving. This update has solidified the fear that he is stepping away to pursue his own original manga series. Toyotaro was handpicked by Akira Toriyama to helm the Dragon Ball Super manga. He shared a very close relationship with the legend and had been instrumental in shaping Dragon Ball Super's narrative and visual style since its debut. Many believe that Toyotaro would bring about a new age for Dragon Ball, and he has done a great job so far. Toyotaro was a unique mangaka. He managed to honor Toriyama's original work. Just got reminded that he'd wash his car with those artworks. Well, including his own elements. This kind of work earned him widespread acclaim. Well, Dragon Ball Super. Is it going to get to anything? These repeated hiatuses cause fans to worry about the manga's future. Okay, so while Dragon Ball Super was going steady till March 2024, Akira Toriyama's death caused the manga to go on an hiatus after wrapping up the superhero arc. This hiatus was broken in February 2025 due to the release of a new chapter, but fans were met with a hiatus once again. These repeated hiatuses caused fans to worry about the manga's future, and several wondered whether or not Dragon Ball Super would continue. A few fans speculated that this series would die with its creator, and that Toyotaro was going through a lot, since Toriyama's presence meant a lot to him. Recent reports indicate that these speculations might be true after all. Reports suggest that Toyotaro is ready to forge his own path and wants to leave behind the legacy of Dragon Ball and create an original manga. He will reportedly speak with Dragon Ball's editor about the decision and will formalize his decision to leave. The indefinite hiatus of Dragon Ball Super has left fans in a state of limbo. Sites like Manga Plus by Shueisha have even gone so far as stating that there is no clear timeline for the manga's return. This has annoyed a lot of fans. While the break was initially framed as a period of mourning following Toriyama's death, Toyotaro's rumored departure suggests deeper conflict. Yes. His leaving the series could derail plans for the series continuation. The manga is yet to continue the Black Frieza saga, and fans want something new. Not Daima, that was bad. Daima was eh. It had some good moments, but it wasn't amazing. Fans on platforms like Reddit have expressed frustrations, with many fearing that Toyotaro's exit signals the end of the manga altogether, while several fans are praying for their worst fears not to come true. It must also be acknowledged that finding a successor like Toyotaro, who is capable of upholding Toriyama's legacy, is impossible. Dragon Ball Super's future lies in uncertainty. Toyotaro's potential departure threatens the end of the series, painting a grim picture of its survival, while the franchise's enduring popularity ensures it won't vanish entirely. Dragon Ball Super may not survive as Toyotaro's reported talk with Dragon Ball's editor approaches. The community holds its breath, hoping for a miracle. This is a point where I think, hmm, let's see. Okay. Okay, so here we go. There's reportedly a fight concerning the rights to Dragon Ball following Akira Toriyama's untimely death. I think that was the big feud that I covered a while back. That was what I was looking for. Just wish it had stopped after the Cell arc. Yeah, the boo stuff really wasn't good. Uh, so let's go. Let's catch up with what everyone's been saying in chat here really quick. So I don't like to read. Words scare me. Don is a bit too much crazy shit for me. Crazy for the sake of crazy. Story, not a whole lot, but I've only watched the anime. I'm not. I don't know if I feel that way. I guess that's just a perception thing because I don't think it's just crazy for the sake of crazy. I feel like the over the top part of it is an element of the supernatural, extraterrestrial part of it. I feel like I think it's fairly um, usual to come across those things and have some ridiculous story about it. I mean, just listen to people talking about the stories where they've been abducted. Okay, um, there's a lot of story to talk about. I don't think his new manga will do very good. As petty as fans are, they won't give it a fair chance just because he dropped Dragon Ball. That's probably a good point. Daima wasn't a return to form. Daima was kind of a return to form for Toriyama, but I don't think Dragon Ball Daima was received very well by many fans. Definitely not me. Um, Cell Arc was good. It was a good stopping point. People in the bottom right corner. It's just the ads. Okay. I liked Daima, much more similar to the original Dragon Ball with lots of fan service. Could it have been better? Of course. But it could have also been a whole lot worse. The first half of Daima was fine. That's interesting. Because I was there were points that I was a fan of. Also, hello, Lethal. Nice to see you. With Daima, it kind of centered around really like the major fights. So I really enjoyed the first major battle of Daima, which was Goku fighting Tamagami number 3. I thought that was really well done. A lot of the things that I enjoyed about Dragon Ball when I was first getting in, or Dragon Ball Z when I was first getting into anime, were present there. I mean, you got that like Super Saiyan transformation for the first time in the series. Um, the animation on that Kamehameha was spectacular. That whole fight was the exact kind of thing that I really like watching that series for. Um, the Vegeta stuff, it was cool to see him go Super Saiyan 3. But his fight was not nearly as good as Goku's. I feel like it did kind of it did him pretty dirty in that one. Like it easily could have been better. And then of course we get to like the actual Goma fight, which is kind of hit or miss, like at the end there. But like particularly the last few episodes where you actually have everyone like going hard at Goma. Um Goku is using Super Saiyan 4. All of that I thought was really good, really cool. It was a solid end to the series, but there was a large section in there that just sucked to watch. It was like between the Goku fight and the Goma or the Tamagami number 3 fight and the Goma fight, it was a huge doldrum of suck that was like, I will suffer this in hopes that we get something really, really good. And the one that super pissed me off was when they got to like the giant planet. Um and like they had this whole thing of like an absolute like fucking awful side quest where they crash land on the planet and just fuck around for a whole episode. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the gas station boner pill ending either. Like I know a lot of fans thought it was like a funny joke or whatever, but did you not see the at the very end they find out that the demon eye that makes everyone ridiculously powerful is just a gas station thing that anyone can pick up. Yeah, it was. Look, there were a lot of problems with that, but you could probably label me a tourist because for that because well, I watched Dragon Ball Z as like my first ever anime. Um, and I liked it, but I don't think it would ever be labeled my like favorite thing. And I mean, it's been a really, really long time since I've watched Z. So yeah. All right, we got two more articles technically. One to talk about that is some CBR bullshit. But it was something that I thought would be funny to dissect and talk about a little bit. So we'll go with this. We'll bring this. There we go. This is true. A lot of people have, like, as far as this goes, the canon issue, a lot of people keep wanting to say that this is canon to Super and all that. And um, a lot of people were talking about how this is canon to Super, about how this is like, like oh, it bridges the gap and it adds so much more. There's all this stuff now that makes so much sense, and I'm sitting here like, no, this makes zero sense because if Goku trains to reach Super Saiyan 4, why didn't he use it against Beerus? All it does is create a plot hole. It is a terrible addition to the canon. And this is, of course, assuming that Dragon Ball Super is the current canon, which I would assume it is because it's the most active running part of the series, of the franchise. Most active. It just doesn't make sense to have Dragon Ball Daima be part of any sort of canon. You could basically make the argument that Dragon Ball Z has three different paths for sequels. There is GT, which I will admit I never finished. Super, which is kind of my preferred sequel to it because at least it doesn't completely suck. And then Daima, which had some cool fights, but it was really fucking short. I don't think Dragon Ball fans understand when their timelines start to conflict because they want to make everything canon. Yeah, it's effectively the point. Is Super is the best option for the continuation, but even then, I don't think it is the perfect continuation. I like Super over GT, but I really liked what I really liked was the tournament. So I have this like conflicting sense about it. I like Super Saiyan 4 much more than I do like the Super Saiyan Gods. I always thought it was a cooler form. But I liked the way Super handled a lot of the a lot of the story as compared to what GT did. I got genuinely bored with GT and just stopped. I didn't care much for it. Daima's cool. Glad it's short. Wasn't a huge fan of its story either. It doesn't make sense why he didn't go for maybe he can only in the demon world. Well, no, because in the series, he legitimately says he had been training to reach Super Saiyan 4, and this was some sort of ace he had up his sleeve. It never says anything about him doing it specifically in the demon realm. That's the dumb part. Ugh. I almost feel like I need to dedicate an entire fucking breakdown to Dragon Ball at this point. There is a lot to talk about with that, and honestly, I don't know if I want to catch flack from all the autists in that fucking fandom, because I don't know. I feel like they can be as bad as Boruto fans at times. Like they're all a collection of just monglets. I want to do this. There we go. Okay, right button. Let's talk about CBR and their bullshit statistics because we're gonna get into this. So, more female leads. American anime fans demand strong female characters in new Crunchyroll study. Again, like I said earlier, where have you been? Mao Mao and Freerin have been like top waifus for I don't know how long now. Like that's been a thing. Like they're strong female characters. Like they're genuinely characters people like. Oh God, this one. Yes, yes, yeah. I immediately smelled something sus when I looked at the title of this. So I'm glad I did because right in the beginning, it gives us exactly what we expected. In the West, anime's growth as mainstream entertainment has resulted in a heightened call for prominent female representation. According to a recent study commissioned by Crunchyroll, 44% of all US based anime viewers want to see more female protagonists in their shows and films. I don't feel like this is a fair representation right off the bat because if you are to say, to lead with the title, American fans demand stronger female characters, technically true. Technically, because there are more than one fan demanding this. Okay, you've satisfied the conditions to use that title, but when people read this, they generally assume that it is a percentage higher than 50%, as in the majority think that there should be more of this. But you're admitting right here that it isn't even a majority. It isn't even a simple majority of 51%. 44% of all US based anime viewers want to see more female protagonists in their TV shows and films. And guess what? You know what? You can find plenty of female anime protagonists if you actually watch a lot more anime than just shonen. In March 2025, Crunchyroll partnered with National Research Group for an assessment of the modern anime landscape. An international survey consisting of 29,000 total participants aged 13 to 54, NGR discovered that the anime viewing demographic in the US had changed significantly since the 80s and early 90s. Today, nearly half of teen anime fans are female. 44%. And the same percentage expressed a desire to see more strong female leads in anime programs. There's this really good video out there. I believe the chick's name is Maisie or Mazzy, something like that. She did a whole video about this subject in particular, and like how if you want good female protagonists, maybe stop watching shonens. Like there are plenty of. I mean, I believe it was Tape Nagatsuki, writer of ReZero, who everyone here should know that I'm very much a fan of. Tape Nagatsuki wrote VVI's Florette, which has a female protagonist, and she was talking about how that was a good series that got swept under the rug because it wasn't a shonen. A lot of other series have female protagonists, strong female protagonists. You could count Frieren and Mao Mao in there. The difference is people actually like Frieren and Mao Mao because guess what? They're not insufferable bitches. All right, have fun. Thanks for showing up, Gorilla Mar. I appreciate it. Let's continue. Additionally, roughly 59% want more racially diverse protagonists in anime. That shouldn't fucking matter. During the famous anime boom in the 1990s, male-targeted works such as Dragon Ball Z, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Yu Yu Hakusho dominated US airwaves. However, anime has since crossed the gender divide in ways that are reflected in modern viewing trends. Over the last year, works such as The Apothecary Diaries, Dandadan, and Frieren Beyond Journey's End, all of which have highly charismatic, strong-willed female leads, have gained large audiences in the West. Notably, Frieren was a major contender for Anime of the Year in the 2025 Crunchyroll Awards. The fact that it's solo level. You know what? No, not gonna say it. We've been over that. While the series ultimately lost to Solo Leveling, the resulting outcry indicates how deeply the series is and its titular heroine resonated with anime fans. Is this where we're at? We're just spamming a rise in my chat? Okay. NGR's study also established a heightened desire for adult protagonists in modern anime, since many anime works are targeted towards high school aged viewers. Studios tend to favor adolescent protagonists. Some note since many anime works, this person clearly only watches shonens. Because I gotta pull this up now. Let's see here. Screenshots. Where are we at? I believe this one. We can present image file, screenshots. All right, here we go. Let's go here. This was what we were talking about not too terribly long ago. All right, let's go through and see who we got for protagonists. Apothecary Diaries, adult characters. Kowloon Generic Romance, adult characters. Sword of the Demon Hunter, adult characters. My Hero Academia Vigilantes, adult characters. To Be Hero X, adult characters. Apocalypse Hotel, adult characters. Two Perfect Saint, adult characters. Country Bumpkin, adult characters. Lazarus, adult characters, depending on how you actually want to count that one. Again, adult characters for Food for the Soul, adult characters for A Rank Party, and adult characters for the most part for The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadow. There are a lot of series. See, this is how you know people don't actually only watch shonen, is when they start mouthing off about stuff like that. And this is why I like to try and diversify what I watch, is because you know what? You don't get bored. There are plenty of good things out there, a bunch of variety for you. Selective viewing. You basically want the shonen genre, which, guess what, is targeted at young men, to be targeted at everyone. Yeah, see, he gets it. Rot your brain with solo leveling, funk walk, aura farming all the time. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay. NGR study also established a heightened desire for adult protagonists in modern anime. Since many works are targeted towards high school age viewers, studios tend to favor adolescent protagonists. Some noteworthy examples of recent shows include Subaru Natsuki from ReZero, starting life in another world. Mash Burn Dad from Mashal. Tanjiro Kamado from Demon Slayer. Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen. All of these are incredibly popular. Almost all of them are shonen. Among works with male leads, solo leveling Sung Jin Woo, who starts off the series in his mid-20s, is a rare exception. Every single one of these, except ReZero, is a shonen. Every single one. And technically, you probably could lump ReZero in as a shonen, but it is not your typical battle shonen. It is more so a psychological thriller and one with a. I've done videos on it. If you really want my opinion on ReZero, go find those videos. Well, they literally do not list anything that isn't a popular battle shonen or popular isekai. Gee, if you picked a romance, maybe you'd have a different thing going. While teen and even middle school age protagonists have always been common in anime, audiences appear to be slowly trending towards works with older, more emotionally mature leads. Incidentally, Mao Mao from the aforementioned Apothecary Diaries anime is 17 at the start, but ages into her early 20s by the series' end. Furthermore, she has a keen intellect and emotional consciousness that makes her relatable to older viewers. Frieren, a thousand-year-old elven mage, is much different than the standard adolescent leads seen in many other shonen anime. As established in previous US studies, Gen Z has a greater interest in anime than any other generation. Consequently, Gen Z's heightened awareness of social and racial issues is reflected in NGR's findings. In addition to wanting more racially diverse characters, 16% of US viewers also wanted increased visibility for LGBTQ plus characters, while racial representation tends to be scarce in anime. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why you're talking about a series that made an entire sector of animation, of entertainment produced in Japan. While racial representations tend to be scarce in anime, modern exceptions include Shinichiro Watanabe's Lazarus, which features leads from Japan, Russia, and Nigeria. LGBTQ plus representation has also gotten a positive boost recently with the success of such works with I'm in Love with the Villainess, Sasaki and Miyano, and Yuri on Ice. All of which have gained major traction and widely positive responses among Western viewers. Well, guess what? Let's see what they got for the source here. I'm curious because I've kind of seen Mouse should take the lead role. It should take the healer role in Team Guts. Uh, but like Mao Mao and Shirk are already like the same size. So what's the difference? Okay. It's a big fucking breakdown. Have a bunch of demographics and stuff here. Is there anything usable here? Anime is helping people connect. Okay. How long have you been an anime fan? There is nothing in that bottom link that gives me anything to talk about here. I don't hate Lazarus as much as you, but I genuinely like it's starting to annoy me. Okay. Is this going to give me the same thing or is this going to Nope, they aren't going to give me anything good to work with. Fortunately, though, I did save some statistics for this because I kind of figured this would be a thing. So the chick who writes for Bounding into Comics, Packer Girl, depending on how you feel about bounding into comics, take this with you can interpret this how you want, but I feel like I at one point, I shouldn't say at one point, but this information is pretty nice to see. So Crunchyroll survey with National Research Group is sus. 3.5K slash 29K participants are fans who like slash love anime and watch anime once a month. Interesting how they defined that. Demand for female leads, 44%. More adult protagonists, 38%. Increased visibility of LGBTQ characters, 16%. So where do we find this? Do we have the proof here? So as anime's popularity continues to grow across continents and generations, its audience is evolving just as rapidly. While legacy titles and nostalgia still resonate, especially with older fans, younger viewers, particularly women and Gen Z, are calling for broader, more inclusive storytelling. Today, girls make up 44% of teen anime fans. They're probably just Fujoshi who watched My Hero Academia because they wanted Bakugo and Deku to fuck. Signaling all the genre has firmly outgrown its outdated boys only reputation. These shifts mirror broader cultural movements. Modern fans are seeking diverse protagonists, deeper representation, and fresh narrative perspectives. Nearly 1 in 6 US anime fans want to see more racial diversity in anime. And many are also asking for greater inclusion of LGBTQ characters, people with disabilities, and indigenous culture. All women are just Gojo simps. They're either Gojo simps or Gojo shippers. Those are the only two types of women that exist. They either want Gojo to put his dick in them, or they want Gojo to put his dick in Geto. Okay. But it's not just about who is represented. It's about how audiences are voicing clear desire for more strong female leads and more adult protagonists, as well as some increased visibility for LGBTQ characters. I love how they say that audiences, and it's 16%. It's less than a fifth. Also, Jeremy Turner, thank you for the one gifted Crimson Law membership. I do appreciate the support. That went to Aiden JD. I appreciate the money. Gotta bounce. See you tomorrow night. If it isn't gay, or if Ivan isn't gay. These demands are especially pronounced among younger female fans who are actively shaping the future of the genre. Again, I guarantee you they aren't actually watching any shoujo anime, which would generally center more on female characters because it's targeted at women. They're sitting there watching shonen and thinking that they're entitled to the same representation in a space generally aimed at young men. Not just as consumers, but as critics, creators, and community builders. There are anime for women out there, you know. Like, that's a thing. That's been a thing for a while. In fact, I have some up here on my shelves that would, some manga up here on my shelves that would be considered aimed at women. And guess what? They're good. People should watch more than just fucking battle shonen. God. To find out Crunchyroll, the global anime brand, commissioned National Research Group, the leading global insight agency, to conduct a study exploring the value identity maker of anime fans that have set anime apart. Unless otherwise specified, the data in the article comes from research that surveyed 29,000 general entertainment consumers aged 13 to 54, including 3,500 anime fans. Okay, so this is an interesting breakdown. Here's the part where, like, for whatever you think of bounding into comics in and of themselves, when it comes to these posts that Packer Girl makes on Twitter, she generally is pretty good with the sources on this. So this right here, I am a woman and therefore I cannot be sexist. Women do not deserve the right to vote. I'm feeling feisty tonight. I didn't even drink. There's not. This is just water. There's no alcohol involved. Ivan is always gay. Well, he's Mexican, so. I'm just waiting for the clap back from Rolando. Okay, so viewers who like and love anime and have watched anime content. Okay, so here's the thing. They took this survey from 29,000 general entertainment consumers. Okay. But only 3,500 of them were viewers who like or love anime and watch anime content at least once per month. You cannot justifiably use that as your basis for saying these things. The funny thing is that anime fans, as far as I've seen, generally do not give a fuck about any of the representation stuff. More often than not, I find people who just want good characters. They just want a good show. They want something that's going to keep them entertained. You want to know how I know this? No one gives a shit about Ogun being a part of Fire Force. You want to know what? I actually think he's a cool character. They should use him more. Gay characters, I watched Licorice Recoil, and that's my very first video on this channel, was talking about Licorice Recoil. And you know what? I don't give a shit about the lesbian relationship in that. You want to know why? Because the series is good. I do not like when they do this bullshit. Let's close that out. It'd be manipulative on things, but we'll bring this back up because it is still relevant. So 29K participants surveyed here. General entertainment consumers age 13 to 54. 35 of those are anime fans. Okay, yeah. Engagement. So yeah, basically that is effectively the whole point. This is a good catch. So let's put that away because we're almost at the very end. Because we're going to talk a little bit about something I was arguing about with muffler tape in the uh, Weebs and Waifus Discord. Griffith is a femboy. Look at what acceptance and tolerance let happen. Oh.
Is that right? You could be right. You're so right!
All right. The new campaign, Prevent the Eclipse, ban femboys. But yeah, that article that we just covered is genuinely I need to stop fidgeting. That article was genuinely sus the moment I saw it. And I kind of knew exactly what was going to happen is the statistics were going to get manipulated. And that's pretty much what happened. You look in, like they start making these claims and you look into it and all of a sudden the support they have for their claims is shoddy at best. I have a feeling some people just hate watch anime. Had some guy on Mal talk shit about an anime I like. Went to his profile to see that the guy gave over 50% of all shows he has seen a 1 or a 2 out of 10. Pardon me. Yeah, there are genuinely people like that. And I feel like it kind of was the same thing with like earlier in the month or earlier in the year. I forget exactly when this happened, but we had the whole thing about people calling basic slice of life anime Diddy anime. We had the whole thing where people were freaking out over the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, calling it a PDF file anime because it wasn't a battle shonen. These are the kinds of people that the popularity of anime has dragged in. And like I kind of don't like to go into like the gatekeeper mode because I'm a pretty new anime fan myself. 2017, 2018 is when I got into it, right as I was getting into college. So it's like I kind of feel bad to like get in and then shut the door right behind me like that. But the boom in anime like has kind of not been good for it. With the number of people who now come into online discussions and start acting like they know better and are going to call you the most ridiculous stuff over liking My Dress Up Darling, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, or The Apothecary Diaries. You're kidding me, right? You gotta genuinely be kidding me if that's what online discourse is screwed because well, it's the internet. Nobody knows how to, behave because it's the internet. Everyone thinks it's not real or death threats are a joke. And okay, I gotta move on. This is the last article for the night. Talk about something that me and Muffler Tape argued about a little bit. Dandadan has beaten Marvel's Thunderbolts at the box office this week, and it could be a sign of anime cinema domination in the rest of 2025. So this comes as of June 11th, 2025. Yeah, it really is the internet for you. But post COVID has brought in a lot of to this whole thing. So the Dandadan movie I personally really liked. I thought it was a genuine improvement upon the arc in the manga. Although I'm still upset at that cliffhanger ending. Still upset. So much is made about what topped Much is made about what tops the box office, but look a little further down the charts, and you might just discover an unlikely changing of the guard. As new anime movie Dandadan Evil Eye gets one over on Thunderbolts just 39 days after the Marvel movie's release. As flagged by Collider, the June 9th takings of Dandadan Evil Eye came out to 350,000, gifting it the ninth place in the U.S. domestic box office. Thunderbolts, meanwhile, is flagging in 10th, grossing $290,000. I like the movie, but that ending was stupid. Well, yeah, it's a cliffhanger, pretty much. Well, it's easy to raise eyebrows at another Marvel feature stalling in cinemas. It's more exciting to see the potential anime. So this is where I genuinely disagree with this argument, with this article, I should say. And there is a bit. I guess it just wants to allow me to scroll a ton. So anime has always threatened to break into the mainstream. Demon Slayer Mugen Train is 2020's highest grossing movie, beating out the likes of Tenet. Yeah, that's a genuine win for anime. Was Mugen Train being the anime of the year? If this was a similar situation to that, I would genuinely respect the talk here. But we're talking about a movie that is 2 weeks old, beating a movie that is over a month old. Now, you can make the argument, well, limited theaters, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. It's apples and oranges at that point. You're comparing the Thunderbolts at its weakest to Dandadan shortly after its strongest. Let's see. Thunderbolts net gross. Yeah, so the movie Thunderbolts has grossed $375 million versus Dandadan Evil Eye net gross worldwide $5 million. Again, this is one of the problems, like, as far as this goes. Going into it, it was heavily like broadcast that this was going to be the first 3 episodes. And they didn't wrap the whole thing up in 3 episodes. Comparing it to Mugen Train, which was it was a straight up intended to be cinematic adaptation of the entire Infinity Train arc, is again a little bit apples to oranges. It's more fair than what's going on in this arc here. Basically, there was mention last week of tallest midget this season. This is effectively what we're getting at here with this article. You are talking about who is the tallest midget. And in this case, Thunderbolts is at the end of its box office run. This has been out for 2 weeks. It's not a win to say that, oh, well, Dandadan beat this movie that not a lot of people were really like super hyped up on. And that's been out for over a month. That's not a fair comparison. Again, if this had been a Mugen Train blowout situation, or this was the de facto movie of the year, I'd be saying things differently. But no, this was the cinematic airing of the first 3 episodes of season 2. That's what this was. And a lot of people were probably going to skip it because they can just watch it on whatever streaming platform they choose when it decides to air. I went to go see it because I fucking love this series. But that's neither here nor there. I do not see this as a win or a sign of the greatness of anime. This looks like a pathetic attempt to try and grab some clout for it. I mean, anime in and of itself anime and manga in and of themselves have already done well enough. We don't need this kind of pissing contest where you cherry pick a bunch of stuff to try and make it look better. It's genuinely stupid. Oop, that's the wrong thing. I wanted to do that button. That's the button I wanted to go with. Okay. And that is effectively the news for tonight. Everything that I wanted to talk about. So, couple of announcements before we wrap up here. So, first of all, coming up on the end of spring anime here, Saturday night, the final Saturday night, the June the 28th, will be the spring recap stream. For those of you who are around and who are members of the stream, there will be the option for members to join in on the end of season anime discussion if you guys so choose. And I don't mean just like in the chat. I mean if I am able, I believe I can go to. Is there a way? There's got to be a way to do like a members only thing. Oops. Either way, for people who are members of the chat, there will be the choice to I'll figure this out at some point here. Okay. There will be the choice to actually join in on the stream for people who have memberships or have been like longtime fans and stuff. Basically, chat gets an invite onto the stream to talk about all of the season end stuff. So that's how we're going to be doing it. Also, next week, there will be no Wednesday night Crimson News Network because the last Wednesday of every month is dedicated to fictionology, and we'll be going over Death Note at that point, which I am lagging behind on a little bit, but I will be binging quite a bit of that. So fictionology Death Note is coming up next week, next Wednesday. And other than that, it's going to be the usual video Monday, Friday, stream for animated on Saturday. That's how we're going to go. With that said, I am going to see what I can do about setting it up so that people with memberships are able to join in on the stream. Hope you all have a good night. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you to everyone who showed up. I appreciate you. People who gifted memberships, people who are ongoing members. You're all amazing. I wouldn't do this if I didn't get the kind of support that you guys give me. So, well, actually, I would. I'd still do it because I enjoy it, but it makes it a whole lot more gratifying when people actually enjoy the content I create. So, thank you for that. Thank you for enjoying the things that I put out. Hope you have a good night. I will see you later in the week, hopefully, to talk about some more anime and maybe in a video or something. That said, I'm going to wrap it here, and hopefully, nothing goes wrong. Have a good week.
My problem is that you're a real asshole.
People tell me that a lot. I would say that it's one of my strong points.